Woe unto kingdoms drunk on fear, whose princes cry, "The foe is near." They strike the gate to guard the land, yet forge the chains with their own hand. For grievance rose like desert flame. The courts are weak, the laws a game. The rulers sleep, the borders fail. Corruption rides the merchant trail. Then came a voice with iron breath. I shall restore what languisheth. I shall make crooked powers bend, and bring confusion to an end. The people heard and bowed the knee, for every house desired decree. When trust decays and bread grows thin, strong hands appear as medicine. Yet every judge who answered, "Wait," was called a traitor to the state, and every limit, check or wall was named obstruction to the call. Thus conflict spoke, "Behold the foe," and control answered, "Strike the blow." Then collapse walked behind unseen, to reap the fields once bright and green. For when the servants feared to speak, the mighty government grew weak. The scribes were purged, the learned fled, and silence spread where counsel bled. The rulers saw the failing gears, yet would not hear their own engineers. They cried instead, "The rot runs deep, the hidden vipers never sleep." So schools and courts were marked unclean, and scholars named a hostile screen. The advocates of law and right were painted enemies of light. The merchants learned to guard their tongue, the singers hushed the songs once sung. The timid heart survived the day by learning quickly to obey. And strangers wandering at the gate became the burden of the state. Their faces carried every fear the rulers wished the crowd to hear. Then armoured men in shadowed guise brought trembling mothers to their cries. The cities watched with narrowed breath as order marched companioned by death. Yet still the wounds would not grow still, nor force fulfill the ruler's will. For every blow to conscience dealt made deeper fractures in the welt. Then prophets false arose to say, "The land is poisoned all the way. Expose the hidden, cleanse the vile, and purge corruption mile by mile." But scandal spreads like burning wheat, and ash returns to every street. The hand that casts consuming fire may feed at last its own pyre. Then foreign shadows filled the sky, for rulers seek abroad a cry to drown the doubts that rise within when inward fractures spread through sin. So distant wars became the stage on which to redirect the rage. The trumpet drowned domestic pain with banners, thunder, steel, and flame. Yet every strike abroad returned, with coffers drained and treaties burned. The sons of strangers fell in sand, and grief walked back into the land. Then truth itself grew hard to find, for fear had conquered many minds. The watchers of the public square were called deceivers everywhere. And when the papers spoke of loss, the rulers answered not the cost. They struck the mirror from the wall and cursed reflection for the fall. Then engines cold of code and wire were offered as Messiah's fire. No mortal hand can rule this age. Let algorithms guard the cage. The iron systems learned each face, each wandering thought, each hidden trace. Efficiency became the creed, and human caution slowed the speed. The labourer watched his station fade. The craftsman saw machines invade. Young dreamers found the ladder gone, though still the rulers thundered on. The market shook, the wages bent. The poor were taught resentment, and every hunger, every scar was blamed upon some nearer war. Then neighbours learned to fear the knock, the unseen eye, the data lock, and protest, once the people's plea, was named a threat to security. The streets grew loud with shield and drum. The governors declared, "They come." and every clash in smoke and flame confirmed each side's prophetic claim. The nation clothed itself in steel, till every wound was made to feel not civic grief requiring care, but hostile danger everywhere. The Allies faltered, trust grew thin as threats replaced the bonds between, and every cautious word abroad was counted hatred toward the sword. Then all the earth became a field where none could pause and none could yield. For powers trapped by pride and fear here compromise as doom draw near. The heavens filled with metal wings, with sleepless eyes and silent stings. The machines hunted without rest, and wisdom failed the final test. At last the realm that sought control consumed the pillars of its soul. For every tightening of the chain returned a harvest born of pain. Yet hear, O people, this is not a sentence carved that changes not. The wheel may break, the course may bend, if truth and mercy still contend. Restore the courts that dare to speak, protect the poor, defend the weak. Let law be shield and not disguise, and hear the warning before demise. For nations perish not at once, but step by step through wounded wants. When fear becomes the ruling art, the sword first enters through the heart. So choose the harder, humbler way, to heal the breach before decay. For every empire facing night still holds a candle to the light.